Hey guys, we're here with yet another deck profile. This time I'm doing Sylvia. So this one's a long time coming. I'm not sure why I haven't done one yet, but Sylvia has always been my favorite ruler. It's the first ruler I ever used when I got into Force of Will, and I've always, for the most part, always had a deck with her, and this is the deck I use right now. And it's one I usually play at my locals, usually, because I just have a lot of fun with it. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, especially we're ramping up, getting towards the end of this cluster, so she's going to be rotating, which is going to be pretty depressing, especially for me. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, so we'll just jump right in. So obviously first off we have the ruler is Sylvia. So she passively, any red stones you have also will have the ability to tap for green as well. So that's only on her ruler side. Keep in mind, when she J-activates, she no longer has the ability. Speaking of her J-activation, when she does that, she deals 1,000 damage to target J-resonator. And she has swiftness and flying, and she has 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense. And whenever she kills something, or whenever something she dealt damage to dies, more specifically, you recover 3 stones. So if you dealt 1,000 damage when you flipped, and they die, you recover 3 stones. Or if they didn't die, but then you kill it with a separate resonator, you still recover 3 stones because they were dealt damage by her at some point. And that's one of her big combos that I might get into here once I go through the deck. We'll start with the stone deck. We run, first off I run 4 Magic Stone of Heat Ray. So this produces red and yellow, and then obviously passively green because of her ability. And for obvious reasons, this deck is mainly is 3 colors, red, green, and yellow. So that's for obvious reasons that I run that. I run 3 Awakened Magic Stone to Earth. Once again, produces red and yellow. I only run 3 because it costs 300 life to bring it in, unless you just let it come in tapped, which I sometimes do, but I don't want to run 4 of them because I don't want to get flooded and suddenly lose 1,200 life without really expecting it. And then lastly, I run 3 Magic Stone of Blasting Waves. So this is a red-green stone. The reason I run that is because, like I said, when she J-activates, she no longer produces that green passively. So I want that for when I J-activate, so I can still use all my buffs and different green cards that I run. I don't want to be suddenly stuck in a corner and I have a handful of green cards I can no longer play. So I found that was always useful just to run those as backup when I J-activate. So getting to the deck, we'll start with Resonators. So first off, I start with Dragonite Commander Siegfried. So this is a pretty awesome card. It's a 3-cost 7/7, and when it enters your field, you recover all dragons you control. And as you'll see, pretty much, as far as I remember, every single card in this deck, with the exception of Dragonite, is a dragon. So any card that you have on the field, including your J-activated Sylvia, would recover if they just attacked. And usually that's good for the game-winning kill. And in case it's not the game-winning kill, and you just are stuck with Dragonite on the field, it's a 7/7, but if you control a dragon, she gains +6/+6 and flying. So it's basically a 13/13 flyer that you got on your field blocking for you. So I run 3 of those. I run 2 Guibers, the white dragon, so 1200 flyer dragon, and you pay 1 void less for every resonator that came into your field this turn. So I run it because I do have some low-cost resonators, but there's also a nice combo I really like to go off of in this deck. I only run 2 of because I don't want to rely on it because it's still a 5-cost dragon unless I am putting resonators out pretty consistently. But if I'm able to get that combo off, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. Next, I run 4 of Sylvia Gil the Infernal Dragon. It's the resonator from Bingo 3, so she's a 3-cost 8/7 dragon with flying. She gains swiftness if you have Sylvia as your ruler, so she always has swiftness when she comes in, something I forget a lot of the time just because it's at the bottom of the card. And you can also pay 1 green to pay her awakening, and her awakening is she brings in a 500/500 dragon with flying token. She's really good, so basically for 4 cost on Sylvia, you get an 8/7 flying dragon and a 5/5 flying dragon. And the combo I was talking about is with her, so you play her, pay the awakening, so you have 5 mana floating. You pay 4, she comes out with the token, then you pay 1 for Guiber, so now you have 3 dragons on your field ready to swing. Kind of. One of them's ready to swing. But yeah. Next I run 3 of a tiny Alabaster Drake, so it's a 1-cost, 1/3 flying dragon. And whenever it attacks, you force roll and it gains that much attack. So it's a pretty simple card. I ran it because I needed a 1-drop in this deck, and I wanted a dragon. And I didn't want a dragon that was just sort of iffy. And I feel like Tiny Alabaster Drake is a pretty good card for what it does, especially as the potential to, if you roll a 6, to be a 7 attack 1-cost card, which is pretty nice. Next, I run 2 of these. It's a card I'm kind of experimenting with. I'll probably pull it out, but I don't know. I run 2 of Sylvia's clanmates. So it's a 4/4 dragon with flying, and you can banish it to pay 1 void less for your judgments this turn. And you can also pay 1 red to give it plus 100. The reason I ran it was I wanted to put them out turn 1 and maybe turn 2 and stuff like that, and banish and J-activate turn 3 or something like that. And it actually works pretty consistently. However, I realized when I J-activate, I usually want at least 4 to 5 mana up so that I can use a lot of the other cards that are in this deck. So I actually don't want to J-activate as early as that card allows me, unless the situation really calls for it. So it's one of those ones that I'm sort of tossed up in. Next, I run 1 of Blade of the Seven Lands Excalibur X. So this is a Regalia. I only run 1 of it because it's not vital to the deck. It's not a big need, but occasionally it's really nice to have, especially against certain decks. But it's a 3-cost, but it's nice because it gives your J-Ruler +4/+4, so Sylvia would come in and be a 14/14 dragon instead of just 1,000/1,000. And it also makes it so you can't be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls, so you can't be lightning striked or anything like that. And your J-Ruler, your opponents have to pay an extra 2 void to target it with any spells or abilities. So if they want to Black Moonbeam Sylvia, they have to pay 4 instead of 2. So different situations like that, it comes in handy in, but it's not a vital part of the deck, especially for 3 costs. It takes up your entire turn 3 when you're trying to ramp up to that, hopefully game-winning turn 4 or 5. So you know, it is what it is. Next, I run 2 of the Fairy Tale Library Alexandria. So this is an addition, and when it enters the field, you choose a race, and resonators of that race gain swiftness. So obviously you choose dragons, and suddenly every single resonator in your deck, with the exception of Dragon Knight, gains swiftness. So I find that really good, especially like, for example, if you have it on the field already and you do that combo I told you about. So you play that Sylvia resonator, it brings out a token, and then you play Gwyber. Now suddenly all 3 of those have swiftness, and you're swinging for upwards of 2,000 damage just off the bat. So different things like that are good. Next, I run 2 Wind Secluded Refuge. This for obvious reasons. I want to protect my J-Ruler when I J-activate, because there's a lot of combos that can come off of that I'll get into. And also just there might be some resonators I want to protect, but it's mainly for the J-Ruler. Next, I run 3 of Sylvia's Roar. It's 2 cost, and because your ruler is Sylvia, you get to use both abilities instead of just 1. And the abilities are your resonators gain +300 till end of turn, and Dragon J resonators you control gain whenever they attack, they do damage equal to their attack to target resonator. So this is good for especially the game-winning kill or different combos. So for example, Sylvia comes in, deals 1,000 damage to a resonator, kills it, you recover 3 stones. You use 2 of those stones to play Sylvia's Roar, and then swing with Sylvia, and she does passively 1,300 damage to another resonator, recovers 3 stones. Now all 4 stones are recovered, and she has an extra 300 damage so that she's swinging in for 13. And yeah, if they have other resonators, then there's other stuff you can do as well, but just that's a quick example, obviously. Next, I run 2 of Concord of Saints and Beasts. So I only run 2 of these because it's a 3-cost quick. It does have quick cast, which is nice, but it's still a 3-cost champ. But you get to choose one of these abilities, but if you control a fire and a wind resonator, you get to choose both. Right now, I only have fire resonators in my deck, but my sideboard does have wind resonators as well, so it comes in more handy if you were to sideboard, but it still comes in handy just as it. It's 2 abilities you can choose from. One is J resonator you control deals damage equal to its attack to target to another target J resonator. So that's good. Once again, just there's some strong resonators in here, so you could just straight do 1,200 damage or something like that to another resonator. I like to use it on Sylvia because it doesn't hurt her. They're not doing battle damage to each other. She's straight just doing damage to another J Resonator. And so if it kills them, you get those 3 stones back you just spent on that champ. And you also get rid of a Resonator. The second ability is whenever a J Resonator your opponent whenever Resonator your opponent controls that was dealt damage by J Resonator you control goes to the graveyard, you get to put a stone from your stone deck into your field. So that's really good for combos if you're firing on all cylinders and you're playing that with Sylvia's Roar perhaps, where every time you swing with a Resonator it's dealing damage to someone and most likely killing it. You're suddenly breeding out stones into your field and able to populate, especially if you deactivate turn 4 and you really need those 5th and 6th stones and so forth. That really helps repopulate your stone field. Next I run 2 of Beast Queen's Counterattack. Once again, we're just doing a lot of damage, just trying to kill stuff. If we're deactivate with Sylvia, we're trying to recover stones to play more things, and just once you deactivate, you're really just trying to push for the win as quickly as possible before something bad happens. So I run 2 of those to help with that. I run 3 Lightning Strike for obvious reasons. Just great, 1 cost 500 or 500 to your opponent if you're just that close to killing them. I run 3 Memory to Memoria just to deal that 400 damage to a Resonator and produce Red Will. So you're basically doing a free 400 damage. I rarely use it for doing damage to your opponent, although that is nice to come in handy, but being able to produce that will and then use it for Lightning Strike or playing a Resonator or J activating is just a nice option to have. I run 2 Research, so you pay 1 green and then any amount for X, and then you look at, so if you paid 5, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck. If there's a 5 cost or less card, so that could be a Resonator, a Chan, or Addition or something like that, you get to just straight play it without paying its cost. So that's good. Just I only run 2 of them because it's not something I consistently want to play, but it's good especially if you're in a bind and really need to start searching out through your deck. It's really good to have. Next I run 4 Seal Wind and Lights for obvious reasons. This deck passively produces green, and then its main color besides red is yellow that it's also producing, so it's just a nice card to have. Just be able to straight up cancel your opponent's cards. And on the plus side, because it's Sylvia deck, a lot of times your opponent just won't expect it, so being able to catch them off guard, especially when they spent all their will thinking they're about to play a big card and then you just cancel it, is a really good way to sort of get an advantage, especially game 1 when they're not least expecting it. And lastly, 2, Heavenly Gust to help deal with those pesky additions and Regalia. So like I said, the point of this deck is really, not necessarily the point, but a big part of this deck is trying to J activate, deal damage, recover stones, play something, and swing with Sylvia, maybe have Sylvia's Roar so you're doing damage to something else, recovering stones. If they block with a Resonator and you kill it with Sylvia, does damage to that, you recover stones, and each time they recover you play something else, Concord of Saints, Sylvia's Roar again. Then when that's all done and said, hopefully you have at least 3 stones recovered and you can play Dragonite, recover all your Resonators and J-Rulers and do it all again. And so if the deck is running as smoothly as it's supposed to, then turn 4 or 5 when you J-activate, you'll either swing for the win or get extremely close to it. Now I'll real quick go over the side deck. The side deck is really just if you really want to try and go into beast mode and also have a little bit of fun. So I run 3 Ambush. So it's when a J Resonator your opponent controls attacks, you put a Wind Resonator with total cost 3 or less from your hand into your field. And the reason for that, I run that is because it's a standby card, so you're able to build it up early on if you don't have the right cards. And because the main card in the side deck is Prisha, Beast Queen Hiding, and she's a 3 cost Wind Resonator. And whenever you increase her attack or defense with a card, you double it instead. And so she's meant to come out and essentially be a big monster card, as you'll see with some of the cards that I'm going to pair with it. So I run, besides the ones that are in the deck that already would pair with it, I run 3 Beastly Attack. So target attacking Resonator against +6/+6 till end of turn. So you play that on her, and so suddenly she has +12/+12 to end of turn. And whenever she deals damage to a Resonator, she deals that much damage to an opponent. So if they block with a Resonator and you play that, not only are you probably killing that Resonator, but you're now suddenly doing 1900 damage to your opponent on top of that. And then for fun, I run one Folly, the Charlatan. She's the 3-cost 8/8 resonator, just straight up. And I run that because I run 2 of her Charlatan's tricks, which is a 1-cost chant where you search your deck for a target additional resonator with the same name as one on your field. But if you control her as a resonator, you get to put that additional resonator straight into your field. So I just thought it'd be fun for those couple times you're able to actually get that off would be kind of cool. If you have like Gwyber on the field, then just play a 1-cost and put another Gwyber out, different things like that. I thought it would be kind of funny. Is really all I did it for. But yeah, so that's my Sylvia deck. Like I said, I have a lot of fun with it and it actually does really good. Most people don't expect a Sylvia deck, let alone one that can actually hold its own for the most part, and one that's firing off as much damage as it does. And it does pretty good at locals. I usually do pretty good with it. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think, if you like Sylvia as much as I do, because I really like Sylvia. And yeah, see you guys next time.